All right, so 21. The function g is defined by g of x. Then we're passing through the point 24, 0. What's the value of g of 0? So did any of you have absolutely no clue about what to do here? Okay, thank you for being honest, because I'm quite sure you weren't the only one. Let me show you what you can do in Desmos for a question like this. Are there other ways to do it? 100%. But let's talk about Desmos when we're not sure what to do. So I want everybody to go to Desmos, and everybody's going to push the buttons. And I want you to type in g of x just like it looks, the g and all. G of x I'm glad they sent you back. G of x equals and then x plus 14. Oops, that's not 14. And t minus x. All right. So type it in exactly like you see it. Yes. So if you put in more than one variable, it'll ask you about a slider. So we can put the slider on there, right? T equals 1. All right. Now, what the rest of this says is t is a constant, all right? The graph of y equals g of x passes through the point 24, 0. So if I zoom out, I can see that. But if I want to know exactly where it is, I can put in that point, just because sometimes when you zoom, you can't see all the little dashes or whatever. So there's 24, 0. You can even have it label it for you. So it's real obvious. Like there's my point right there. So here's the deal with the slider. T is some constant that we put in here, but we don't know what it is, right? Look what happens when you move your slider. Right now, T is 1. When you move the slider, you see how it changes the equation? And we want the function to go through 24. Well, my slider only goes to 10. But when my slider's at 10, where am I crossing the x-axis? 10. When my slider's at 0, where am I crossing? 0. So where do you think I'll cross when t is 24? At 24. So that doesn't give me exactly what I need, but it tells me stuff. I can figure out then that, hey, let me go ahead and change that to 24. And then I can see that it goes right through it. So now my function goes through 24 just like it says it should, right? What is the question actually asking me for? G of 0. So now I can type in g of 0, and it, oops, well, that would help. Oh, not there. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, hang on. Not there. Sorry, I need this right here. I can type in g of 0, and guess what g of 0 is? 336. Okay. What? So to recap, listen, if you have an additional variable, put the variable in there. It'll give you a slider. You can move the slider to manipulate your function to get to whatever you needed it to be for whatever the question is. Here, it only got me to 10, but it helped me figure out that's 24. Since g of x is defined as this function, when I want g of 0, it calculates it for me, and my answer is 336. 24. Okay. Yeah? Do you understand how I got 24? Were you paying attention at that point? No? Okay, look. When I was up here, I put in t. I'm going to back up for you this one time. Pay attention. T minus x. I have it in there exactly like it was, right? And I know it's supposed to go through 24, 0. When I move my slider, it changes the value of t. When t is 10, it goes through 10. I want it to go through 24, so I'm going to go ahead. I can't make it go to 24, but I can go ahead and change it to 24. Ay, ay, ay. So now my function goes through 24 like I want. G of x is that function. I want g of 0. It calculates it for me, and it's 336. And it'll just do it for me. Okay? Now, could I also just show you how to do the math behind it? Absolutely. Is the math behind it important? Absolutely. But if the SAT is going to let you use Desmos, know how to use it to your benefit. There's nothing wrong with that, right? When we talk about actually passing this college algebra class, that's a whole different story. We'll make sure we understand the math, but trying to get through this now. Now, without having to, because I've zoomed and stuff, if I just refresh, it'll just fix it back for me. So this was 336. Okay. Let me see your lights for 22. Are you not letting them play? Or they don't want, y'all didn't want them? No, I know, but how come they don't even get a light to play with? Guess y'all gotta be faster next time. I don't know. They're just mean. What is that? What? Jesus Christ. I've never even seen this screen before.
It's very odd.
Into the recovery key.
Because I've tried everything. I've tried to shut it down. I've tried to skip this drive. I've tried to do something.
Did you push the button forever?
Yes.
And you did that and you came back to here? Did you try to actually type this in?
I want to type it in. It's only numbers.
You only do numbers?
It only lets you do numbers.
Yeah, did you actually read the script? Well, I don't know, because it said recovery key ID to identify your key. I don't know. Continue. I guess you just get, I can send you to the one-to-one room, but I'd rather you not miss all this, and then we'll figure it out. Yeah.
That's okay, look, we can share.
But you have to be able to use it. Okay. All right, so I see red and white. We got red, oh, and green. Okay, we're Christmassy. All right, so let's look at this one. The graph of the given equation is a circle. It tells you a circle. We should also know that, right? The point AB lies on the circle. What's the following? Which of the following is a possible value for A? Which would that be the X value or the Y value? It'd be the X value because it comes first. All right, so let's everybody type in the circle. Just exactly what they gave you. X plus 4. Everybody except Rangel, apparently. We'll figure you out. Plus Y minus 19. Why aren't you typing? Squared equals 121. Okay? And then just move your screen so you can see the circle. You cannot do this nearly as easy on the yellow calculators. Okay? So we don't care, we don't have to type in an A and a B here. But we have 4 options for what that X value could be. So in the next part, we're going to type in X equals, let's put in the first value, negative 16. Is the X value of negative 16 on this circle? No. So that is not my answer. A is not my answer. B would be 14. Is the X value of negative 14 on there? Yes. There's my answer. It's B. Okay? So, do you understand how to use Desmos to help you with these? Yes? And if you try the other ones, if we used 11, because I know why you liked 11, but I'll tell you why in just a second. Oops. Oh, man. You don't know why you liked it. I think I know maybe you didn't like 11. Oh, you got 11, and then 19 was way out there, right? But look, what you should know about circles, because we talked about these equations, what does this number represent? Radius squared. And the square root of 121 is 11. I'm pretty sure that's why the answer choice is there. I don't know if that's why you liked the answer choice. That would have worked if the center of the circle was at 0, 0. But because we moved it, it didn't automatically make it work. Okay? We good? All right. Oh, so the answer is B. All righty, 23. Let me see your lights. I have a feeling I know what colors I'm about to see. Nobody put B? Okay. Got everything but B, right? Did I give y'all lights? Did I skip your? Do y'all even have lights? They don't want to play. Okay, I can see. All right. Everybody pay attention very carefully because I had to explain this 3 times second period, mainly because they were being silly like y'all are because, I don't know, it's Friday. I don't know what the deal is today. But, all right, listen. Take a deep breath. A right rectangular prism, okay, which mainly means a box. So I'm going to draw myself just that. Like I don't have to draw a prism, but that way I get light, length, width, and height. You're not listening. The height is 9 inches, okay? That's 9. That's pretty easy to figure out. H equals 9. Then it says the length of the prism's base is x inches. All right, length equals x. So the length is x. Here's where you have to read the words carefully. I also want you to pay attention to the fact that we are now in the 20s, right? Those first questions we did the other day, crazy easy. Would you agree? They get more difficult as you go. So think about that when you're doing it. If you, at the beginning, if you think some questions are really hard, you're making it too hard. If you get into the 20s and you think they're crazy easy, I'm not saying they're necessarily really difficult, but if they seem super easy like those first ones, you might not be reading it right. So just be careful because I promise you, most of y'all didn't read this right, okay? This says the length of the basis prism is x inches, which is 7 inches more than the width. What is 7 inches more than the width? The length. So the length is 7 inches more than the width. Do we agree with that? Okay. So this is the height. This is the length. This over here is the width, right? If I solve for the width is going to be the length minus 7, which means the width is x minus 7. X minus 7, not plus 7, okay? Just because I see the words 7 inches more doesn't mean my answer is going to have a plus 7 in it. So then when we multiply these, I'm multiplying 9 times x minus 7, which is D. C was a very popular answer, right? And I understand why. Pay attention to what question number you're on and go back and read it again when you think you have an answer. Okay? We good? Good for you. I'm good for you. That's good. What questions do you have? Do I need to say any of that again? We understand why it's W minus 7 or X minus 7? Yes? Yeah. We're not happy about it, but yeah. Okay. All right. 24. Now, y'all remember earlier when I said I don't like being crazy, but I'm really good at it? Y'all better be quiet, or you're going to see me get crazy, even with the little cowboy hat on, right? What they're really testing here in 24 is, do you know your transformations? But you don't really have to know them that well because you got Desmos, okay? What you do have to know is what it means to have a minimum value, okay? If I have a parabola, that would be the minimum. If I have something like this, I could have a couple different minimum values, whatever's happening, right? Let's type this into Desmos. Type that in. So I'm going to refresh, and then I'm going to type that in. So f of x. You broke my light. This is why we can't have nice things. Oh, I didn't ask to see your colors. I'm sorry. Let me see your colors, then we're going to type it in. So red, white, and green. We're Christmassy again. Okay? All right. So let's type this in. F of x equals, I lost myself here. You're not typing. Negative 6 times 3 to the x power minus 3. We are looking for a function that has a minimum at negative 3. Do we have a minimum value at x equals negative 3? No, right here, that's definitely not a minimum. It's also not a maximum, but it's definitely not a minimum. So do we like Roman numeral 1? No, we do not. Okay, so I don't like that one, which means I don't like A or C. It's not 1 because this is not a minimum value at negative 3. A minimum would be like the vertex of a parabola. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so then let's type it. Oops, let's type in the other one. I can even leave it as f of x. It's fine. I'm going to delete that out. Oh, yeah. Hang on a second. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with this thing? I'm going to change. Why does this hate me? I'm going to change this. Change that to 3. Change that to 6. Do I have a minimum value in negative 3? No. This doesn't have a minimum value at all. It also doesn't have a maximum value because that's it. We have an asymptote and then we go down here. It's neither one of them. It's D. Okay. Minimum would be like these. Okay. We good? Questions? Anything? What are we confused about? Ask me a question. Oh. Oh. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I see what you're saying because you got like an asymptote. Okay, that makes sense. But okay, so listen, because if you did like that one, that's a very good point. I'm just going to put the minus 3 here. I know the first part of that was different. So listen, because this is a very good point observation she made. She said, I think maybe I liked that one because we have an asymptote at negative 3. But when you talk about minimums, it says a minimum value at negative 3. The at is the location. At is always going to be your x value. The minimum value itself would be the y value. Either way, we don't have either one of them, but I can totally see how you could think that there. So as long as we know what it is now, we can clear that up. Are we good? Yes? All right. So now 25. Let me see your lights. Red, white, blue. We're being patriotic. Mm-hmm. It's broke. Just like flashing. Well, you might have to hold it. You think you could handle that? Poor little Lauren. Okay, no, I appreciate it. Okay. I know they're not very well made. All right. We're on 25. You think maybe you need to listen? I think maybe you need to really listen. The result of increasing the quantity, so the result is 60. I've increased the quantity of x by 400%, and my result is 60. So should my answer be more or less than 60? Less, because I took something, increased it to get to 60. So I can at least have a 50-50 shot now if I had to guess. You with me on that? All right. Now, wording is very important here. This does not say what is x is 400. Well, 60 is 400% of x. 400% of a number is different than increasing it by 400%. So I want you to think about this. If I take anything, let's say 10, I'll make it easy. I'm going to take 10. If I increase that by 100%, that means I'm going to add a whole nother 10 on there. I get 20, right? If I increase it by 200%, I add another 10, that's 30. If I increase it by 300%, that's another 10, that's 40. If I increase it by 400%, that's another 10 that gets me to 50. Increasing it by 400% is 50. Getting 400% of 10 gets me 40. If I increase something by 400%, I end up with 500% of it. You understand that, the thought process there? Okay, let me back up again. So listen, you notice how I added 10 every time. This is increasing by 100%. This is increasing by 200% because I added 200% of 10 to it. This is increasing by 300, increasing by 400. When I increased it by 400%, I ended up with 500% of my original. If I was to say 400% of X, then 400% of 10 is 40. If I increase it by that amount, I have to add it to it. All right, you with me on that? Yep, 400% of X, yeah, is basically just 4 times X. So if I do 4X on these, this gives me 48 and 60. That's 400% of both of those. When I increase the original by 400%, this gets me 60, this gets me 75. My answer is A. Reread it multiple times when you get to the higher numbers of questions. Do I need to say it again? Explain the 100. Okay. So listen. Whatever percent of any number, you multiply the percent times the number, right? So 400% of X is 4 times X. Increasing the quantity by 400% means I have it and I'm increasing it by 400%. That gives me 5 times X. I'm increasing it by 400%. That's why it's 5 times X. So this is 4X, this is 5X. My answer is supposed to be 60. That's why it's A. It's 48. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I added this. I had to take 12 plus 48, 15. I can either do it that way or just end up with 5. I can just multiply it by 5. It's the same way. I'm just trying to help you understand the difference in the wording. Okay. Let me just erase this. And let me do it again. All right, let's back up. I erased it. Can we agree it's not C or D? Yes. Okay. If I'm going to increase the quantity by 400%, let's just take our two answers. 400% of 12 is 4 times 12, which is 48. We agree with that. Okay. 400% of 15 equals 4 times 15, which is 60. Okay. It's not asking me for 400% of that number. I'm increasing it by. So if I take 12 and increase it by 400%, I add the 48. If I take the 15 and increase it by 400%, I add the 60. That's why this one gives me 60 and this one gives me 75. Because I'm increasing it by that amount. I'm adding that amount to it. Ask me a question. Yep. Yeah, you kind of get it? Ask me another question, Gail. You still don't believe me. No, you're just mad now. Okay. No, that works. Well, sort of. That would no, because that's 5. 5 times x equals 60. Yes. No, that's beautiful. No, so what she has is x plus, not plus, I'm sorry, x times 1 plus the 400% has to equal 60. So that gives you 5 right there. 5 times x has to give you 60. Yeah, good job. Look at you knocking them out of the park over here. We good? Yes? Questions? All right. We're on 25. Let's get to 26. Okay. All right. Let's put our focus hats on. I got my little focus hat on. Get your focus hat on. All right. Let me see your lights first. I see white and green. I don't know what number is that. 26. Oh, what time do I get out of here? I don't even know what time we get out. Fifth period, 12:15. Okay. All right. So we all need to pay really close attention, given the lights that I see. All right, so we have this function. This is just a quadratic. Don't let all the letters start to freak you out, because you can totally do this question. You all have the skills 100%. A, B, and C are constants. That just means they're numbers. We've known that. So the graph of f of x in the xy plane, that just means the normal thing you normally graph it, passes through these points. Okay, so let's think about what that means. We've got a quadratic. It's going to go through -3 and 7. Is that crazy hard to comprehend? No. A is an integer. It's a number that's greater than 1, which means it's positive. So it's going to look something like this. We agree with that? Desmo's not going to help you much here, right? But does all that make sense from that? We know about zeros. We know how that works for quadratics, yes? When we factor the quadratics and we solve them, we get these numbers, right? Which means that I have my two factors would be x plus 3 and x minus 7. We all agree with that? Now, I have an a that's greater than 1. We'll get to a in just a second. But this, we need to be able to multiply out, which is FOIL. We can handle that, right? So we're going to get x squared, then minus 7x plus 3x minus 21. Now, can you put this in Desmos and like play around with numbers? Yes, but it's more complicated and convoluted, and we'll look at that later. But x squared minus 4x minus 21. Everybody with me? But this says that a is greater than 1. Right now, what I have, a is 1. And a being greater than 1 doesn't affect this. It affects this, right? And I don't know where that is anyway. So if I want to try something, a is greater than 1, let's just try 2. Okay? I can't just plop a 2 on there because then it doesn't work. The 2 basically got factored out. If I multiply that 2 in there, 2x squared minus 8x minus 42. Everybody with me? I just picked 2 because 2 is greater than 1. Now, what it says is, which of the following could be, because we don't know what a really is, the value of a plus b. This is a, this is b. If I add those together, what do I get? -6. I know. Wait, what? I kind of thought the same thing. Because this is a, hey, because it told me to. Yeah. Like that mathematically, that doesn't make any sense, but it literally said a plus b. Okay? Because it told me that a is greater than 1. And I ended up with this right here. And I knew that a needed to be greater than 1. I could have picked 3 or anything else. I just thought I'd start simple and try 2. No, let's see. If I do 3, I'd have 3x squared minus 12x minus 63. And then if I add those, I'd get negative 9. I don't get the same thing, but it's not one of my answer choices. Yeah, but I mean, they're not going to be really mean at that and make like a 20, and you have to go through all that stuff. I mean, we just made a greater than 1, but look at what happened. The bigger that a gets, the smaller this number gets, and so I know it's not going to be either one of those. You can kind of see if you have to start guessing. Is that a complicated question? Yes. How many people get 100 on the SAT? Not very many. I mean, it's possible. It's okay. Don't let some questions freak you out and don't give up on them. You might be able to play around with things and at least eliminate some answers and make an educated guess. Okay? We good? Okay. Questions? You didn't answer any of them. Pick your favorite letter. All right. Woof. We got another one here. No one did this one. Raise your hand if you actually answered this question. Okay, good. Okay. All right. It's really not that complicated. It's not anything like this one. Desmos doesn't necessarily help you. It would help you figure out your zeros if you couldn't figure them out from here. But I think we all understand, hopefully, this enough. And again, don't let the weird stuff confuse you. The zeros of this function are at 0. I got one right here. I got one at a positive 2, and I got one at negative 6. Okay? Those are the zeros of my function. Do we agree with that? I don't even really care about what my function looks like. So what I know then, if you think about what zeros mean in function notation, that if this is g of negative 6 equals 0. That's the whole idea, right? So because these are my zeros. This asks me for, it says, what if I have g of 7 minus w? G of 7 minus w, right? Well, I know that g of negative 6 equals 0, g of 0 equals 0, and g of 2 equals 0, right? Because those are the zeros of my function. If I need to figure out what w would be, I need to make this in here equal negative 6. So if I have 7 minus w, that has to equal negative 6. So that means that 13 equals w. Oh my God. Okay. Does that part make sense so far? Like, I'm not finished, but do you understand what I'm doing and why? No? Okay. Do you understand this part? That because these are the zeros of the function, okay. So I want g of 7 minus w to equal 0. So that means I need that to equal that. Right, okay. So this is one of them. I also need this to equal 0. So 7 minus w equals 0. 7 equals w. I also need 7 minus w to equal 2. 7 minus w to equal 2. So that means that 5 equals w. It then asks me for the sum of the possible values of w. So I have to add these 3 up, and that gives me 25. Get it? Because these are my zeros, I need this to equal these numbers. Yes, ma'am. Oh my gosh, yes. Because it says g of 7 is w. This is a true statement. These are all true statements. I'm trying to figure out what w could be. It's okay. This is, process it, ask me a question, make it make sense in your brain. To one of my zeros. Yes, because they ask you weird things like this and like this. They ask you those off the wall things to, And they do that especially on multiple choice ones so that you can't just plug in the answers. Like you have to be able to think through it. Questions? This is number 27. Should it be more complicated? Yes, that's okay. All right. Are we good? All right. I think that we are going to stop here for today. Yes. We will start here next time. So make sure, I want these back. You can keep them when we're 100% done, but I want to make sure we have them every time.